Everybody. Hello, everybody. In case you didn't hear the first hello, this is DJ Selene, also known as Miss Corn. And today I'm so excited because I am over here with my one of my old friends that helped me so much with the transition from school to online last year, if you remember. And now she's here to talk about the transition back into the classroom, into the hybrid program. And I'll let her tell you all about the experiences that she's having at her school. Hold on. All right. Hello, Debra. How are you?
Hello, I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. A little bit anxious. I'm not gonna lie. Actually, I'm a lot anxious. I'm not gonna lie. But that's why I'm starting to talk to people like I did before. When I don't know what to do, I ask for help. And teachers, I just want to say this, the teachers have to be so helpful on Facebook throughout this whole year as we're trying to figure out the online teaching. I had so many good ideas from teachers coming from Facebook groups, people helping each other, that people that don't even know each other helping each other. And, I cannot say that I was any more proud to be a teacher as I have been this year of the work that we're doing and the kind of collaboration that happens between teachers. And I'm so happy that you're here to also collaborate with us. You helped us with Google Classrooms at the beginning of the year. And now you're going to hopefully help us with transitioning to hybrid.
Well, I hope
So,
so.
So tell
I
us again about your what area you're at. I don't know if you want to say your school name, but if not, it's okay too. But just kind of to situate ourselves.
okay. I teach in Oregon. We're a rural district, so we're a pretty small school, um, and we are kindergarten through 12th grade all together. And we moved into hybrid learning in about November. So we had a couple little snags at the beginning, and had a couple positive cases in one classroom, so they sent us all home because it was only kindergarten through 5th grade that came back first.
Mm-hmm.
And then um, nobody came back before winter break except for us. And then after winter break, then kindergarten through 5th grade came back for 2 weeks. And then the middle school students came back for 2 weeks, which was 6th through 8th. And then the high school 9th through 12th grades came back 2 weeks after that. So they wanted to give each group enough time to kind of go through procedures and the rules and make sure that we weren't overloading the cafeteria staff and that transportation didn't have any problems before we kind of got everybody back. But we've been back in now solid since about the middle of January, I guess, end of January. So I just now kind of feel like we're in a good place. We've got a flow and a pattern, and it feels like school again. And I'm getting assignments turned in, and I teach 5th grade, but I am the team lead for kinder through 5th grade. So I do help all the classrooms with their procedures, and have helped write a lot of the procedures for us to come back. So some of the things that that we needed to know. I mean, everybody's anxious and everybody was nervous. Is, how are we going to keep kids with masks?
Mm-hmm. Oh, you lost your sound.
Oh,
All right, you're back.
okay. Sorry, a phone call tried to come through. So one of the things that, questions, of course, were how do you keep kids in masks all the time? How do you keep them separate from each other? And each grade obviously has their challenges, but we're really small, so it's helpful because I only have 14 kids anyway, so I have them in 2 groups of 7. So we are hybrid. We only go 4 days a week. So that's helpful because there's a lot of space between all the kids. They had to measure it out. Some teachers put painter's tape on the floor in big 6-foot boxes so that the kids knew how much space they could be in. So if you have a child that needs to stand up at their desk, they knew that they couldn't go beyond the tape. So that visual was really helpful.
All right, I like this idea already. That's very helpful already. Already got one tip. Very good.
And then our gym is set up that way too. So our PE teacher has put blue painter tape squares all over her gym floor so that kids know how far apart from each other they need to be while they're playing and while they're using equipment and things like that. But everybody's in a cohort to go to PE, so everybody can play with the equipment that's in there together. And then all that equipment is cleaned by the PE teacher before the next group comes in, and then cleaned by custodial staff at the end of the day before the next cohort comes in, which would be the next day. Because we have Monday, Wednesday is one group, and Tuesday, Thursday is the next group. And then Fridays is just a teacher work day.
All right, so let me understand the setup of the day. So they come because over here we're talking about 2 cohorts from 8 to 12 and from I'm sorry, from 8 to 11 and 12 to 3. That's what we're talking about every day. And then right now the parents are making a decision if they want to send the kids to school or not. So if they send them to school, the morning cohort would be for students that would be at school site, and then the afternoon would be for the people that would want to do Zoom classes.
Okay.
If all the kids want, then we're going to divide them into 2 groups, and then they will be in person but in 2 groups. And if they all want to be on Zoom, it's going to be 2 groups on Zoom every day of the week. That's what we're kind of talking about here in California.
Okay.
Or in Los Angeles, I should say.
So the procedure for our kids is that everybody has to enter the school through the same doors. They have their temperature checked every day. The teacher that's watching them come into the school checks to make sure they have a mask, takes their temperature. They have a quick little digital thermometer, takes every child's temperature and just kind of visually assesses to make sure they're not coughing or, have weepy eyes or something like that. So, and then they come in. They eat breakfast in our classrooms.
Oh, really?
Each teacher is provided with a spray bottle to wipe down all their desk and their chair and everything after breakfast is over, because they're allowed to take their masks off to eat. They didn't want all the classes together for food time, so they are just with me. And then, and as soon as they enter the classroom in the morning, they wash their hands. They go straight to the sink. They wash their hands. We had to teach them how to wash their hands. If you look online, there are some videos that show you specifically that they need to turn their hands upside down and scrub the tops as well as the underside, as well as in between the fingers. And so we watch some of those videos and talk about washing hands. I make them wash their hands even though they just got hand sanitizer at the front door. And then they can eat their breakfast, and then they have to wash their hands after they eat their breakfast while I'm wiping their tables down. We have gloves and extra masks in every classroom so that if a child gets their mask dirty or, sneezes or something, then we can quickly give them a replacement.
But wait, Deborah, hold on. Let me kind of let me go back into the entrance into the school. I'm still there. So over here we're talking about like a staggered entrance. It's staggered per time, like each grade comes in a different time, so not too many people, in line to get their temperature checked, or they line up on the streets, or how does it go?
We have actually we do have 2 doors, because high school goes through their own door, and then elementary and middle school comes through another door. So they do stagger down the sidewalk. But like I said, we're a small school and we are already split in half. So it's an even smaller amount. So it goes pretty fast. Especially now, we've been doing it for quite a few weeks, that the kids know. Plus we have a half an hour set aside for breakfast. So kids can start entering the building at 8:30 and classes don't start until 9. And so that gives them a half an hour to get here. So we don't have a big rush at the door. The bus kids come in through a different entrance because their temperatures are taken when they get off the bus, and checked for masks and all that. So they come through a different door with a different teacher.
Mm-hmm. And when you say small school, how many students would you say about,
I think there's less than 300 for
Okay.
K-12.
All right. And then, so basically the students, so once they get to school, they are immediately directed to their classrooms, or do they have like a area where they, because in the past we used to line up, before we would go to class or something like that?
We don't do that. The teachers are already in the rooms, and so
Mm-hmm.
they come down the hall. Kindergarten room is the first door, so they don't really have to be escorted. So as you come down the hall, they get older. So I'm the furthest from the door, but I'm the oldest elementary group. So they walk themselves to their classrooms. In the beginning, I think the first couple days, teachers walked them. We have extra staff, support staff members, teachers assistants, and parapros, and our special ed teachers that kind of helped at the door, plus with our admin staff. So they would walk certain kids down depending on if they were new or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I know that some teachers have concerns because, if you have younger students, usually the beginning of the school year, you have some criers, some kids that are, not as used to the classroom. And in the past, the parents would accompany them to the class. And now this is not going to be possible. Did you guys have any problem with that? Or because they already knew the teachers from Zoom, maybe that kind of made it a little easier on the transition for that?
Yeah, I didn't notice those issues because kindergarten had been on Zoom, so they did all know their teacher when they got here. So it was a familiar face because the biggest thing was that now the teacher has a mask on, and you don't usually have a mask over Zoom. So the week before they started coming, the teacher started putting her mask on during her Zoom class, and that really helped the kids kind of know who she was, even if she had the mask on. So this is what I'm going to look like when you come in the building. This is how it's going to be when you get here. So, look for me with my mask on. I won't be able to take it off when you're in the building.
Mm-hmm.
And then if they're crying, we have admin staff that would stay with the parent outside until they were ready to come in, and then they would let them come in. We also have like an airlock that they could stay in, so they weren't outside in the rain or snow or whatever. But that was also helpful.
Okay, and would you say that most students, decided to, or most families decided to send their students to school, or was it a 50-50 split, or how did it go?
We have 100% of kindergartners coming into the building. And then maybe one or two per grade that decided to stay home. For elementary, the high school has a lot of students that opted for online learning and not to come into the school. But elementary, we're seeing everybody pretty much here. I have one student that stays home, and I don't think fourth grade has anybody. Third grade has one or two, and second grade has two. First grade, I think, has two as well. But kindergarten has everybody here.
Were they given a choice, or they just said school's going to open and everybody should come?
No,
and
everybody has a choice.
Oh, they had a choice and decided to. Very, very nice. So those two students, let's say, or the students that stayed on Zoom, they are receiving classes in the afternoon, or there's a camera that, they participate when the others are in the building?
So our school district is different in the fact that, thank goodness, our principal / superintendent did not want us doing both jobs at the same time. He thought that was a little unreasonable. So our students that are home on online learning have a specific computer program that the school purchased, and that's what they work in. It's an intervention program and pretty comprehensive. And then we just monitor their time. So I just communicate with each family to let them know if they met their time goal or not. I can see what they're working on and I can give feedback to parents. I have a conference later today with a parent that's his son's all online, and I can look and see what he's struggling with and what he's really good at. So I can still talk to that, but I do not have to teach them. Our PE teacher does have a CDL PE class, and so the kids that are online attend her class for an hour each day.
Okay. And even the kindergartners are when they are online, they are in the program.
So kindergarten's a little different. We actually have all of them, all 12 of them in the building every day. So they're here with us. They're the only group that is treated completely differently because we don't have cohorts for them. It's all of them together. So when it's cohort A's day to be here, then cohort B parents drive those kids to school. And when it's cohort B's day to be here, cohort A's parents drive their kids to school, but only for kindergarten.
I'm a little confused about the cohort A and B into different days. So per se, so the 12 children are coming in one day. So the other day, what happens in the other day because they were supposed to be alternating?
They come all 4 days.
Okay.
So on cohort A, that's Monday and Wednesday. Those kids can take the bus if they're a bus student. But if they are, and then on Tuesday and Thursday, when it's not their day, their parent brings them to school.
Oh, I see. So the division of the cohort is mostly to do with transportation than with instruction. Oh,
correct.
Okay.
For the rest of us, it's for instruction. For first through 12th grade, it's for instruction. But kindergarten's the only grade that got approval to have all 12 kids in class. And 12 is the maximum that our classrooms will hold with the 35 square feet spacing.
I see. All right. And then the other grades, how are they working with the cohorts?
So I have half of my students on Monday and Wednesday and half of my students on Tuesday and Thursday. And then they do their online things when they're not here.
Mm-hmm. And when they are with you, they are from 8 to what time?
They're from 8:30 breakfast, 9 o'clock instruction starts, and they're here until 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Mm-hmm. And then lunch, where do they have lunch?
They have lunch in my room. Yeah, I know. So they go, so my typical day is they show up at 8:30, they come in, they wash their hands, they eat breakfast, they wash their hands. We have reading time, and I wash their desks. They have reading time in here with me. And then we actually, because bathrooms are a problem, our bathrooms are really small, so we can only have 2 kids in the bathroom at a time. So we take our whole class on bathroom breaks and wait in the hallway.
Oh. I wonder if her battery what happened? Maybe her battery ended. Oh, here she's back. You got kicked out for a second.
Sorry, it's pouring rain. It's pouring rain in rural Oregon, so the internet's a little dicey here.
All right, so I'm just imagining the bathroom line. That's where we ended up, on the bathroom line, waiting for 2 kids at a time.
So 4th and 5th grade, we go together so that one of us can stand outside the boys' bathroom and one of us can stand outside the girls' bathroom. And then we just let 2 in at a time. And then they come out. We just make sure that they've washed their hands and that they've flushed the toilets. So those are like the big items. Is you just ask every kid when they come out those 2 questions. And now they're into a routine. So it goes pretty quick, but we all go. If they have to go out of those times, then we have radios that we call to the office and just say, I have a 5th grade girl coming to the restroom. And then somebody from the office steps out and monitors the bathroom. But only elementary does that part. All the other middle school and high school, they just send the kids one at a time and radio for someone to monitor the bathroom when they need to go. So it's just kinder through 5th grade that we've set aside a morning time and an afternoon time, trying to alleviate interrupting the office all day long.
Correct. And then for lunch, when it's lunchtime, you line them up, I assume, and go to the cafeteria where they get their lunches and go back to the class, or is delivered into the classroom?
So breakfast and lunches are both brought to the classroom by the cafeteria staff.
And then you serve the breakfast and the lunch. Oh no, we got kicked out again. No. Come back, Debra. All right, so far I've been learning a lot of interesting information. All right, there you are again. So basically you're serving breakfast and lunch.
Yes. So we go to recess first. So when we're at recess, the lunch is delivered. So when we come back in from our recess time, then they go straight wash their hands. And while they're washing their hands, then I put the lunches on their tables. And so then they go straight to their seat. They eat their lunch. And then they get up, put their lunch on the tray, go back, wash their hands. I go back, same procedure. I wash their desk. And then we start the next subject. And then they have specials. We have culture and language 2 days a week, and technology the other 2 days. So the specials teachers come and either work in my room or take them to the computer lab. And then that's my lunchtime. And then they also go to PE right after that, and the specials teachers take them to PE. So that's all a part of my lunch break and my prep and planning time. And then I pick them up from PE. We come back in the classroom. They wash their hands again, and then we have the last hour and a half of the day. And then somebody comes down the hall and picks up the bus kids and takes them outside, and then they radio down that all of our walkers can be released, and so they start walking towards the front, and they're just allowed to just go out and start walking home. And then the rest of the students stay in our classroom, and on the radio they call for each student individually when their parent shows up to pick them up, so that we don't have everybody waiting at the front door to leave. They're all still distanced in our room. And when they call, for Johnny or Susie or whatever to go down the hall, then we send them as they're called. So there's usually only a handful of students in the hallway at a time.
And how is recess? They kind of like how classes go to recess. You guys decide which class goes into the yard at that time, and any insight on recess?
Our playground equipment is kind of spread out, so we do each kind of take a little area that we plan. Anybody really can go to the swings because they're already separated. Our kids keep their masks on outside. So the 6-foot distancing isn't quite as critical outside because they're out in the air and they have their mask on. So they do run around a little bit together outside, but they're not allowed to grab. They can't play tackle. They can't play tag. But they can use the playground equipment. And now they understand the social distancing. Even our kindergartners, they know that they have to be more than an arm's length away, or 2 or 3 arms lengths from the other students. So they're pretty good about keeping their spacing now. I mean, we've been in for a few weeks, so it's definitely something that they've learned, and it's a lot of reminders. But we have dots and arrows on the floor down our hallways. that have arrows pointing one direction on the right for students going down the hall and on the left for all the kids coming back. That was very helpful because we can tell them to stand on a dot or an arrow, especially when we're in line for the bathroom or we're waiting for another class to walk by in the hallway. That's a great visual for the kids. They know to stand on a dot or an arrow.
Yeah, that's really good. Because I was thinking about, oh, maybe I need to get a super long rope and make knots and have kids holding on the rope, 6 feet apart, so I could kind of move them into, different direction. And again, I have, younger children. I have ETK, so they are like 4 years old, so they're a little younger than kinder. But I think the floor marking, I think will really help them. And they love to play, stay away from lava so they can go into the dots, but I don't think they can jump that far actually, so forget about that idea. But anyway, so
putting tape on the floor where you want them to line up, all of that is really just a good visual because it shows them how far away they need to be. Plus we have tile floor and all of our tiles are a foot, so we've kind of shown them that they need at least 4 to 5 in between them. So like our kindergartners are really great at counting to 5 now because they count the squares in between them and their friend. So are there 5 squares? And then they go through and they count them, and then they know if they have to move back or reposition themselves. So that part's been pretty good. My team teacher in 4th grade, she took a pool noodle. The pool noodle is 4 feet, and she wrote on it and said 4 feet. And so she walks up and holds it next to kids, and she's like, "Are you more than 4 feet?" And that's a really good visual for the students to know that they're too close, because she just walks, it's super light, and she just takes it with her. When we go in the hallway or outside, she just walks up to a couple kids and she's like, "Oh, I think you're too close." And she puts the pool noodle next to them so that they know how far they need to stand apart from each other.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a good trick. So all in all, going pretty smooth, and I think it's better than what people expected at the beginning.
I think so. Our county is doing pretty well with their numbers, and so unfortunately, I think people got a little comfortable, so our numbers just went up this week. So we'll kind of see how it goes, but overall, I think it's doing better than it was. Then everybody's getting used to it. It seems a lot better than we thought it would be.
And since you are on the phone, and I wanted to kind of see what the physical space look like, do you mind kind of showing us a little bit what your room looks like, or some to get an idea? Yeah, here we go.
I can try. I've got bigger kids, so it's a little bit more space, and I got to put a desk back. I had a parent in here, and I had to move some furniture. But
let me see. I might put you full screen just so you have more room for us to see. If that help, no. Trying to find a better way.
I'm gonna. I don't know if I can turn it around.
Trying to see how I make you big.
I don't think I can turn my camera around, so I'm just going to kind of turn my phone around and see if I can show you a few things. But I have 7 desks in my room, and my A group comes on one day, so they have one color name tag, and then my B group comes the other day, and they have a different color name tag. But not, so you can kind of see, here's my room. So I have all my tables. The custodians came and spaced them all out 6 feet apart. And then back there where the gray is, I needed a place for storage, and that would be kind of protected, that wouldn't have to be cleaned by COVID. So I put these tables to kind of help them enter the classroom right here around the side. And this is where their breakfast goes and where their lunch goes. But since I put plastic tablecloths all the way around, then whatever's underneath it doesn't need to be sprayed every day for cleaning. And they have, they still have cubbies over here, and everybody has a number, so they know that only some of them can get up at a time to get their stuff. And I have cohort A and B mixed together so that it's even more spread out. A and B groups, there's a little bit more spacing. They don't keep anything inside their desks because they share their desks. So they do have to have it emptied at the end of the day. We do use a library. I have books in my classroom, and but my procedure for using my classroom library is that at the end of the week, when they empty, there we go. There's a bin right here, and they put their books that they're done reading in that bin, and then I wait until Monday. So I wait over the whole weekend so that the books have been sitting there for a while, and I wait until Monday, and then I put them back on the shelf. They know that they can't like pick up a bunch of books and then put them back on the shelf. They know now that if they pick one up to look at it and they don't like it, they didn't really think that would be a good one, then they put it in the bin. They don't put it back on the shelf. So that's why there's quite a few in the box, because they're looking and then they put them in the bin so I can shelve them after 48 hours.
Mm-hmm.
They gave us plexiglass for our teacher spot, so you have to excuse my messy desk, but I have a plastic screen here in front of my seat. I keep my mask on all the time, but if I'm sitting behind the desk, it's just supposed to be extra protection for me. So there is a plexiglass screen right there. We have water. Well, we can't drink water out of our sink, but we have water fountains, and we don't, the kids don't get their own water out of that. We do it for them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you lost your sound for a second.
Let's see. Is it back?
Oh, you're back. You're back.
Okay.
I'm just taking myself off the screen so we could see you a little bit bigger there. That's why I'm not going anywhere. I'm still here.
No, that's fine.
So you guys refill their water bottles? Is that what it is?
Yeah, and if they bring a water, the rules are that if they bring a water bottle, they have to take it home every day, because if they leave it at school, there's a health department requirement that it would have to be taken and washed in the dishwasher, and we don't want to have to do all that. So we have the little drink cups that we can give, and I give those out. For students, they leave those on their desk, and if they want a drink, then I fill it for them so that not everybody's touching the drink thing, the water tower. But if they bring a water bottle, then they just have to take that home every day.
And they couldn't bring a disposable water bottle and just discard it at the end of the day?
Oh, they can. They can.
Oh, okay. It's just because
but
refillable one.
So it's Oregon. We try not to use the plastic ones, so I don't know.
Good. Okay. This is really neat. And wow, I'm learning a lot. It seemed, I mean, you're like demystifying the things for me, feeling a lot better about it. Now, Debra, would that be any chance we could see like an earlier grade, like a kindergarten grade or something like that? Or that would be kind of hard, right? Because people already went.
We're in the middle of conferences, but let me see. Hold on. I gotta put my mask on.
Oh, see, Debra is a trooper. she'll go to no length to every length, I guess I should say, to kind of help us figure this thing out. All right, she went to see if she can show us a classroom for kindergarten because that's my, kind of closer to my grade. So I'm interested in knowing how that goes. Oh, there she is, showing her beautiful
So I don't
school.
know if my phone, will keep the connection down the hallway, and I'll peek in first because they might be in a conference. So
All right. I'll just continue talking to people here while you let us know what's going on. We're
okay,
taking a tour. That's a nice school.
thanks.
Very nice school. Yeah, so
Are
as I
you
was
on
saying,
conference? Okay, so here's second grade.
ooh,
I know
let's
you're
go.
holding on for just.
I'm gonna come out
So
the
here's
screen just
second
so you can
grade.
show more. Keep going, Debra. You're doing
California's
great.
gonna go hybrid here, and I've got some friends that are worried. So they're all spaced just like us. All the kids are spaced out. There's a lot of room at the front for the teacher to walk around, and and then she's got all that organized, and then they have cubbies in the back here as well, and procedures, same procedures: wash hands, wash hands, wash hands. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, appreciate it. Like she could hear me.
What?
I was saying thank you so much. Ooh, like she could hear me, but say thank you. Yes, that's really nice. How many desks would you say there were in that room?
Our classrooms only hold 12.
So she had 12 desks there?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
So let me look in here.
Because
Okay. So kindergarten's not. Oh, she is. Do you mind if I show your classroom really quick to my friends online? Okay. So here's kindergarten.
All right, I'm gonna come out of the stream so you can
see. She had to take all of her tables out and put desks like all the other grades in. So, but she has all 12 kids. So there are 12 desks in here. Same thing. So it looks like an older classroom because we had to put regular desks in all the classrooms and take the big tables that would seat 6 kids out at a time. So, and then her kidney table has that same plexiglass screen that mine has on hers so that they can work one-on-one or in a small group and be a little bit closer, but there's a screen there in between them. So but she has all her kids here every day, so they're able to keep stuff in their desk, and but we're having some technology installed, so most of us have our front is really clean because we've got some new TVs coming in. So
oh wow, nice.
yeah,
That is that.
but
Wow,
she
that's
does her word wall, and still puts stuff up on the wall for all the kids, and so still does a lot of her stuff. And she had the covers over the cabinets, all the fabric there before, but that's really helpful because then the custodians don't have to clean what's behind it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because here we're removing a lot of the things, but some people don't have where to store their supplies and things like that. So
yeah, so here are the dots and the arrows down the hallway.
Uh-huh.
And we have signs all over the halls that say, oh, where'd it go? There. Say we have to be 6 feet. We have these weird protocol signs that none of our kids can read. But they have to be there. So that's kind of it.
And how does it work with the nurse? Anything with the nurse? I mean, I know they're not getting as, hurt because they're not really playing, and sometimes they would get hurt doing,
So
yard time.
if
But
if we have a student who isn't feeling well, then we call on the radio and the nurse comes down to us. That student has to stay at their desk and then they will take them. We have an isolation room that they had to make per the state of Oregon. And so the isolation room has a door that goes outside so that the parent comes and picks them up from that door so that the student is not being walked up and down the hallway more than necessary when they need to go home.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
we still have a nurse. She still checks, for all the same things. But if anybody's feeling bad, then the procedures are a little bit different, and they have to go to the isolation room. So.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Wow, I had so many questions, and believe it or not, nothing is popping in my head right now, which is a good thing because trust me, I know how to ask questions. I don't stop. But this has been so helpful. I can't thank you enough for being with me when I, kind of started. We kind of continued the online, but we started a year on online, and I was very anxious to meet with my students that have never been in school online and trying to get some resources. And you were with me there doing that. And now I'm so thankful that you're holding my hand again so I can, get back to the classroom and feel confident. And you really gave me that confidence to say, hey, this is doable. It's different, but it's doable. And I really appreciate it so much. I can't thank you enough. And I know you're busy with conferences and going into a spring break and everything. So
Yeah.
anything
Well, I'm
else?
so glad. I don't think so. I'm really glad we were able to connect. And, if you have questions, just send them to me and we'll get them answered.
Yes, exactly. And if anybody has questions, want to put it on the comments, I'm sure then I'll call your attention to and say, hey, Deborah, there's a question. What do we do with that? And thank you so much. And if
You're
you had
welcome.
a word of advice for people starting this, what would you say?
Give yourself and your students a lot of grace. It's going to take twice as long to get through lessons. It's going to take twice as long to complete an assignment, an activity, because you're going to have to up and wash hands and watch out for distancing. And it's slower, but it's all okay. And give yourself grace. You're not going to do everything perfect, and the kids are going to be nervous, and they're not going to know what to do either. And so you just kind of go with it. Give yourself so much patience, and realize that it's just kind of is what it is, and we are just going to roll with it, and not get too worked up. I mean, as long as everybody is washing their hands and keeps their mask on, the rest of it, is just what we already know. So we already know how to teach, and that doesn't change. It's a lot slower. And that was really hard for me, is that I'm not nearly as far in my curriculum as I usually am at this time. And that makes me very nervous, but it is what it is. And I'm not going to stress and worry about that, because it's the best that we have right now. And with 2 days a week being at school, there's no way it can replicate to I can't push it any faster. So I think as long as they're learning some of the stuff well rather than fast, then they're going to be better next year anyway. So give yourself a lot of patience and understanding. You're going to see more behaviors. Kids they're nervous as well. And so build those relationships, care for your students, and do what you know to do.
That's great advice. And I want like to add this when I also had the chance to speak with a teacher in Brazil. She has a school. She's the owner of a school that had opened. Right now they're closed, but they opened for a little bit. And I was asking her about the younger children because that's my concern since that's my grade.
Hmm.
And I was asking how hard it is for the children to be sitting at their desks for 3 hours because that's what we're proposing to have them 3 hours at their desk, and they're very very young. When in the past they do centers, they play outside, they play inside, they work with each other, and right now it's totally different. So I said, how do the children feel about that? Because I was at beginning thinking, oh, the children are going to feel very constricted into this space. But she told me, the children love to see their friends, to be there in the class with other
Hmm.
human beings their size and their age, and that they were so happy that when it was time for the parents to pick some of the students up, they did not want to go home. And they were like, no, I'm not going. I want to stay here. And that kind of gave me more of, like a desire to do this because I'm always thinking about children.
Right.
And at the beginning, I was like, oh, they're very young. This is not developmental,
Right.
appropriate. But when she told me that, it kind of changed my mind a little bit as far as, yeah, it might not be the most appropriate developmentally, but to be with another human being your age and might mean something to the kids, especially if they've seen them on Zoom and now here they are. And so that's kind of like what's motivating me at this point. So I just wanted to add that. Do you
I
find that
think
with your students too?
I do. The tape on the floor is really great because, and I don't have that in mind because I have fifth grade and they can kind of figure that out. But the younger grades do have some tape on the floor, and what that does is when they stand up to do their brain break and to take, like we use Go Noodle and some other websites that have free dance videos and different things to wiggle around, they can stay within their square, so they don't have to stay seated and be restricted to their chair. They are provided with a box to be able to walk and wiggle in. So that's helpful.
Yes, that is helpful. I wasn't thinking of that. And I think that will help a lot to, in a sense, it also gives them a little more room and for the teacher to be less worried, like, oh, are they too close or not? So it kind of gets everybody more at
Yeah.
ease.
You just
And
can't put your boxes right next to you have to put the space between the boxes. So one of the teachers, when she first did it, she had this fantastic grid pattern in her class, but you can't put kids in every box, then they've got to be every other, so you've got to make sure that you have space between the boxes, that if they're standing at one edge of the square and the other one's at the closest side of the square, that they're still that distance apart. So because they're going to try to get as close to their friend as possible, so you just need to make sure your corners and your edges are still the correct spacing.
yes.
Yeah.
All great advice. And I think what you said is what I said. I think at the beginning on my first video last year was, we're teachers. We're just gonna make it a go and we're gonna do it no matter what. Nothing's gonna stop us from
Right.
doing what's best for our kids. Once we find, what makes sense, we're just going to do the best we can with what we have and continue on. And with that, I'm going to leave you because I know you're
All
busy and
right.
you already took a
Thank
lot of
you.
time. And thank you so much, so, so much. I'm teaching my kids some little signs that they can greet their friends, like hearts and waves and whatever, because they're not going to do the little hugging stuff that we used to do. Anyway, thank you so much, Debra. I really appreciate.
You're
And
welcome.
thank you enough for this.
All right. Have a great
All right.
day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.